Minecraft 1.21.5 is officially here. The Spring to Life update has added new chickens, pigs and cows, new firefly bushes, new structure spawns and much more. So in this video I will be recapping every new feature added in the Spring to Life update. Minecraft has added new cows. Since 2010 the only cow we've had is this guy, but in 1.21.5 two new variants of the cow have been added to the game. The first new cow variant is the cold cow, which looks like this. The cold cow will of course spawn in a variety of cold temperature biomes in your Minecraft world. These biomes include any taiga biome or snowy taiga variation. You can also find the cold cow in the windswept hills and windswept forest biomes respectively. The next new cow variant that was added was, you guessed it, the warm cow. Now the warm cow looks like this and can spawn in a variety of warm biomes such as the savannah, the jungle and the badlands. Now not only did we get two new cows, the original cow added back in Alpha 2010 has also received some changes. So in 1.21.5 the original cow that was simply known as cow has been renamed to the temperate cow. Now this pre-existing cow variant will still spawn in every biome it could before except for the cold and warm biomes where the new cows will take its place. The original cow has also received a texture change, with the main change being that its nose will now extrude from its model, whereas before it was completely flat. The desert biome is receiving a glow up in 1.21.5. That's right, in deserts you can now find the cactus flower, which looks like this. This is a new type of flower which has a chance of generating on cactuses in both deserts and badland biomes. What's interesting is if a cactus is 1 or 2 blocks high, the cactus flower has a 10% chance to grow instead of the cactus getting higher. Desert biome should also look a bit more lively in this update, as you can now also find this new short dry grass that looks like this. Oh, there's also a tall version of the dry grass as well. Now the next feature we're going to talk about are the long awaited fireflies. So I'm sure most of you know fireflies were planned to be added as a mob back in the 1.19 wild update. These fireflies were a 2-pixel mob and they were going to spawn in swamp biomes at night and could be eaten by frogs. However, the devs decided to scrap this version of the firefly mob and we didn't really hear much about it up until 1.21.5. That's right, Minecraft's newest update has re-added the firefly. Well, sort of. Instead of getting the firefly mob, we have received the firefly bush that looks like this. This firefly bush can be found in swamp biomes, and when it becomes nighttime, something really cool happens. So when it's dark, glowing firefly particles will appear around the firefly bush, emitting a light level of 2 and expanding up to 5 blocks. The fireflies themselves are a single pixel particle instead of the 2-pixel mob we had before. Now, despite how cool I find this firefly bush, I still think I prefer the original idea for the firefly, but let me know your thoughts in the comments. Trees have received a big change. So in 1.21.5 you can now come across fallen trees in your Minecraft world. These are a subtype of tree that appear as if they have been cut or have fallen down. The fallen trees can be found in 4 different variants, which are oak, birch, jungle and spruce. These fallen trees were likely added to match up with the fallen trees that were already in Bedrock Edition and have been for many years. So yeah, Java players can now also enjoy a tree that has fallen down. Minecraft has added new chickens. First up we have the cold chicken, which looks like this. This new variant of chicken can spawn in a variety of cold temperature biomes. These include the taiga biomes, the snowy taiga biomes, and finally the windswept biomes. It's also worth noting that regular chickens can no longer spawn in these cold temperature biomes, as this cold chicken will now take its place with its cool haircut. Not only do cold chickens have an awesome haircut, they can also lay their own unique eggs. These blue eggs are of course used to spawn cold chickens, but you can also craft cakes with them just like the regular eggs. birds. The other chicken type that was added is the warm chicken. Now the warm chicken looks like this and can spawn in a variety of warm biomes such as the savanna, the jungle, and the badlands. These guys will also lay brown eggs that look like this, which when thrown will of course have a chance to hatch a warm chicken. A small change was made to Elytras in 1.21.5. So before this update, if the player flew an Elytra into a ladder, then they would just collide with it and die. However, in the Spring to Life update, Elytra flights are now cancelled when you glide into climbable blocks such as ladders, scaffolding, and vines. It's weird flying an Elytra into a ladder at like 1,000,000 miles an hour, and it just puts me in the climbing position. Another block that was added in the 1.21.5 update is the leaf litter block. The leaf litter can be found scattered around in biomes such as the forest, dark forest, and wooded badlands. Now the leaf litter block is meant to resemble dead leaves that have fallen from the trees, which I think adds a bit more realism to the trees themselves. Oh, and the leaf litter will also make a unique sound when you walk on them. The leaf litter can be used as fuel in a furnace, and since it will be found everywhere in the mentioned biomes, you can collect a lot of them to have easy smelting during the first few days of your Minecraft world. Another way you can obtain leaf litters is by smelting any leaf block in a furnace. The more you know. While we're on the topic of leaf blocks, some cool changes have been made to the leaves themselves that generate on trees. So we all know that cherry blossom trees in cherry grove biomes have beautiful particle effects falling beneath the leaves. Well, in 1.21.5, tree leaves with oak, spruce, birch, acacia, jungle, dark oak, mangrove, azalea, and flowering azalea will now all have particles falling from them. I can't lie, that was a lot of tree leaves to name. But yeah, every biome containing trees should now look a lot more atmospheric, as you'll always see particles falling from the leaf blocks. Pigs have been in Minecraft since 2009, and we've only ever had one variant since it was added, which is this guy. But that has changed in 1.21.5 as once again, 2 new variants of the pig have been added. Just like the cows, we have a cold pig that looks like this and a warm pig that looks like this. Don't they just look amazing? Now the cold pig has the same biome spawn as the cold cow, which as I mentioned spawned in the taiga biome and its variants, as well as the windswept biome plus its variants. The warm pigs can be found in all savanna biomes, the jungle biomes plus all of its variants, and finally the badland biomes. Just like the original cow, the OG pig has been renamed from pig to temperate pig, and can no longer spawn in the warm and cold biomes due to the new variant of the pigs taking their place. You can still find these legends in every other biome though, so don't worry. A change has been made to the pale garden biome in the Spring to Life update. So before 1.21.5, the pale garden was rather difficult to find, and when you did find one, the biome was always quite small. However, in 1.21.5, the pale garden will now generate a lot more frequently, and the biome itself will be a lot larger overall. The woodland mansion structure received a pretty cool change in 1.21.5. So we all know woodland mansions generate in dark forest biomes, but in the Spring to Life update, the structure will also be able to generate in pale gardens as well. And since this structure was so incredibly rare before, this change will perhaps make the mansion a bit more common to find, as they can now spawn in 2 different biomes. I don't know why, but it's just so weird seeing a woodland mansion in a pale garden. In 1.21.5, be on the lookout for a new flower which is known as the wildflower. This new type of flower can grow in birch forests, old growth birch forests, and the meadows biome. This flower is unique as it can have up to 4 wildflowers within a single block, similar to the pink petals. You can also craft the wildflowers into yellow dye, but I prefer to just look at how cool the flower looks. Bees have received a change in the Spring to Life update. That's right, since wildflowers and cactus flowers were added in this update, bees will now be able to pollinate them. Not only that, but you can also use wildflower flowers and cactus flowers to breed bees as well. Now let's talk about the desert biome, as it has received some new ambient sounds in this update. That's right, when exploring a desert biome, you have a chance to hear ambient sounds playing from the sand, terracotta blocks, and even the dead bushes. The beacon block has received a small update in Minecraft. That's right, in 1.21.5, the beacon's beam has been changed to be rendered wider the further it is from the player. I assume this change was done to make the beacon more visible from afar. Oh, and the beacon's beam will now also render up to 2048 blocks high instead of only 1024 blocks. A small change has been made to the creaking mob in 1.21.5. So before, you were not able to name creakings with a name tag, but in 1.21.5 you can. This also means that creakings named with a name tag will persist throughout the day and won't despawn in your world, so be careful. 1.21.5 also added these new test blocks to, I guess, test the game's mechanics? I'll be real, I have no idea how they work, but I assume they're used by the player and Mojang themselves to test the game's code to find bugs. But yeah, they look interesting. In 1.21.5, the Lodestone block received a major change. So the Lodestone is used to alter your compass by having it point towards the block instead of your usual spawn point. Now before this update, the block was crafted with 8 chiseled stone bricks and a netherite ingot. However, in 1.21.5, the Lodestone is now crafted with 8 chiseled stone bricks and an iron ingot. This is a big change as the block can be crafted a lot easier now and is also renewable. Oh, and you can also now find Lodestone blocks in a ruined portal chest in the overworld. So yeah, you can now definitely control your spawn point with compasses a lot easier. Like with every new Minecraft update nowadays, the title screen background has been updated to match the theme of Minecraft's newest update. I'm a fan of this background because you really get to see the new cactus flower in full form. Minecraft 1.21.5 has received a new block, the bush. These bushes can be found in the plains biome, the windswept biome, the forest biome, and finally the birch forest biome. Just like the grass, these bushes will change colour depending on the biome they are placed in, which means they'll make for quite a nice decorative block. Now, I know it's just a bush, but it does add more life to some of the biomes that were beginning to look a bit outdated. Sheep in Minecraft have been changed. So in 1.21.5, the colour of the sheep's wool will now be based on which biome they spawn in. For example, in cold temperature biomes, black sheep will now be the most common sheep to find here. In cold biomes, you will also be able to find grey sheep, light grey sheep, white sheep, and brown sheep, but this is less common. And finally, in the cold biomes, you can still find the super rare pink sheep, so don't worry about that. Moving on to the sheep spawns for warm biomes, the most common sheep you will find in badlands and deserts, for example, are the brown sheep. You will also be able to find grey sheep, light grey sheep, white sheep, and black sheep, but again, they are less common. Oh, and don't worry, warm biomes can also contain a pink sheep as well, but it's very rare once again. In 1.21.5, sheep spawns for temperate biomes, aka every other biome in the game, will remain the same. This means white sheep will still be the most common sheep to find here, while grey, light grey, black, and brown sheep will be less common to encounter. Pink sheep, however, in temperate biomes have been removed. Nah, I'm joking, they can still spawn in every biome, but still remain very rare. Now, what's interesting about these sheep changes is that in a previous snapshot for 1.21.5, other sheep colours were able to naturally spawn. That's right, in cold biomes, you were able to find light blue sheep, and cyan sheep naturally, but this change was reverted. In a previous snapshot for the warm biomes, you were able to find yellow sheep, orange sheep, and red sheep naturally as well, which I think would have been really cool to encounter, but yeah, this change was also reverted in a later snapshot. The next change in 1.21.6 1.21.5 is a change that was made to the sheep's appearance itself. So in this update, the undercoats of sheep will now be coloured to match their wool colour. For example, this pink sheep when sheared will now have pink patches to represent its wool colour instead of having white patches like it did before. This change was done to match Minecraft Bedrock Edition, as this sheep feature was already in that version of the game. Not only was the sheep's undercoat changed, the sheep's face was also changed as well. That's right, in 1.21.5 the sheep's face will no longer have white wool for every sheep colour and will instead have wool on its face to match the dye colour it has. Again, this change was done to match a feature that was already in Bedrock Edition, but yeah, it's weird seeing this blue sheep with blue wool on its face. Minecraft has completely overhauled the appearance of spawn eggs in 1.21.5. That's right, in this update, every spawn egg in the creative mode menu has had its texture changed to make them easier to distinguish from one another. For example, this is the creeper spawn egg, this is the pig spawn egg, here's the sniffer spawn egg, the enderman egg, the panda, the axolotl. I think you get the point. At first, I wasn't sure about this change, but it is cool that each spawn egg has its own unique icon instead of them all just being a coloured variant of the same spotted egg we had before. That being said, I am going to miss the original spawn egg we've been used to for so many years, so on that note I have to say, rest in peace OG spawn egg, you will be missed. Since we have new spawn eggs in 1.21.5, a small change was made to the creative mode inventory. That's right, the spawn egg inventory tab has been changed from the old pig spawn egg icon to the new creeper spawn egg icon, which I think looks pretty cool actually. Wolves have received a pretty cool change in 1.21.5. So we all know Minecraft recently added wolf variants for different biomes, but in this update we have now received new wolf sounds as well. That's right, wolves will now receive a random sound variant when they spawn, and those new sounds are as followed. First up we have angry. Next up are wolf sounds called big. Next up are wolf sounds called cute. Next up we have wolf sounds that are called grump. Next up we have a wolf sound file called puglin. And finally we have wolf sounds that are called sad. Now, in case you were wondering, the original wolf sounds we know and love aren't going anywhere. That's right, these original old school wolf sounds will still be used for the original classic wolf we've had since 2011. I'm so glad they're not removing these, man, they're so nostalgic. In the 1.21.5 Spring to Life update, iron bars, blocks, trapdoors, doors and pressure plates have all received their own unique sounds. Take a listen. The mushroom cow has received some small changes in this update. So in 1.21.5, both the red and brown mushroom cow have had their textures updated to now have their snout extruded out instead of being flat like it was before. This change was done to match the texture changes recently made to the regular and new cows respectively. Leaf litters will now use the biome colouring system when it's placed. For example, if you place it in a forest biome, it will look like this, but in a cold snowy biome it will look like this, being a much different shade of brown. So yeah, place a leaf litter in every biome and see the colour difference. I couldn't possibly think of anything more fun to do in Minecraft. Camels will be more common to find in 1.21.5. This is because a change was made to where camels will now spawn naturally in desert biomes. Before, camels could only spawn in desert villages specifically, so it's cool you'll now see them in the desert desert biome itself. The bundle is a rather useful item that can store up to a stack's worth of mixed item types. Now before this update, bundles could only be crafted by the player and couldn't be found anywhere in your world. But in 1.21.5, bundles can now be found in chests within villagers, which is pretty cool as my inventory legit gets full within 5 minutes of looting a village. Another change has been made to sheep, and let me tell you guys, it is a big change. Get ready guys, because in 1.21.5, sheep can now eat fern. You guys know what fern is, right? You know, that bush variant that's found in taiga biomes that no one ever really looks at, but it's there? Yeah, well, sheep can eat them now. This is huge, as sheep will now have a new way to regrow their wool after the player stole it to make a bed. Another thing to note is this change was made to match Bedrock Edition, as sheep in Bedrock could already eat fern before this update, so yeah, Bedrock beat us to it. A small change has been made to horses in this update. So before 1.21.5, if a horse had a saddle equipped but was then made invisible, the horse along with the saddle itself would disappear. However, in 1.21.5, when the horse with a saddle is given an invisibility potion, the saddle itself will still remain visible, which is how it's meant to be. Now those were most of the things added in the Spring to Life update, but now let's take a look at the 2 new Ghast mobs that are going to be added in a future update. Take a look.
If you take a closer look, you might notice something you haven't seen before. It's a bit hard to tell from behind, but if you look from the other side, you will see a sad face that you probably recognize. It's a dried ghast.
The dried ghast is a little bit smaller than the regular block, and well, it has this cute little tentacles on the sides and has this just a little bit grumpy face to it.
It seems very dehydrated. Then you might think that, well, let's put water on it. But there is no water in Nether.
So we can bring it to somewhere where there is water. We'll pick up the block from the Nether, bring it with us from the Nether to Thera portal, and what better way to rehydrate a dried ghast than just put it in water?
And then we wait.
So, as you can see, in the Nether, you will be able to find a new block that is called the Dried Ghast, and it looks like this. The Dried Ghast is found between fossils within the Nether, and in order for the block to even function, it must be waterlogged. And since you cannot waterlog blocks in the Nether, you must simply collect it and bring it back to the overworld, where you can then waterlog it and wait for cool things to happen. As you can see, the dried ghast when waterlogged will start off grumpy, but eventually it will change and then begin to smile. Then, after even more time passes, it will transform into Minecraft's next new mob, which is known as the Ghastling.